2016. It was almost the time of end of school and summer vacations were about to begin. It was a nice Saturday morning. I was packing my bag, making sure I had taken all the worksheets and folders and had everything for school, when suddenly my phone rang. Hello? It was one of my students' fathers. He asked a very innocent question. He asked, "Can I take my daughter back to village during the summer vacations?" I said, "Of course." And suddenly it struck me, I asked him, "When are you planning on getting her back?" And he said, "Before the school reopens." And I thought it's an innocent question. Of course, he could take her to the village. And I forgot about the question on the way to school. I thought it was just a question, couldn't have deeper implication. And I went to school and I met Sonia. She was crying. And I asked her, "What happened?" She said, "What did you do?" I said, "What did I do?" She said, "Did my father call you in the morning today?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "What did he ask?" I said, "He asked whether he could take you to the village." And she said, "Yes." "And did you say yes?" I said, "Yes." "And he promised he would get you back in time for school again." She said, "No, that's the thing. Last night, there was a very bad fight in my house. My father has beaten my mother so much that right now she's immobile and lying on our bed. And that's when he decided that he's going to leave her right there, take me and my two younger brothers and leave Pune forever." I was stunned. I didn't know this story before. I told her, "Don't worry, I'm sure things are not so bad. I'll come with you to your house when the school is over." She said, "You know what? You have done the damage. You told him yes in the morning and it's all over. You really think when you go to my house, he'll be waiting for you?" I didn't know how to answer. Coming back, if I tell you a little about Sonia's father, he's around 5'5", well-built, and he's usually always drunk with a smile to spare. I didn't know what would happen when I would go to her house. I didn't even know if I would come back safe. I didn't know if I could stop Sonia or her brothers from going to the village, but I thought, all these questions need to be answered, and for that, I have to go to her house after school. It was around 6:30 when I went to her house. It's a very small house, and most of the house had a bed in it with a small kitchen at the side. And on her bed, covering half the bed, was Sonia's mother on her side, completely beaten blue. Her eyes couldn't be opened, she couldn't talk, she couldn't even move when I went in. I wanted to scream there. I wanted to ask her that, should I go to the police right now? I just wanted to file an FIR. And she said, "No, just sit down." So I sat there and I looked around and I asked, "Where is the father?" Somehow she managed to say, "He realized that you are coming, so he isn't here." I said, "When will he be back?" She said, "I don't know." And then suddenly something struck me and I sat down and I said, "You know what? I have all the time in the world. I'm going to wait. How long will it take to come back?" I saw Sonia smile from the side of my eyes. Maybe she thought I could change the situation. I didn't know it yet. And I asked her mother, "So tell me what really happened." And she said, "Nothing, something or the other," and slowly she opened up. Sonia's father would go to work in the morning, but he had a group of friends who were not very nice. So they would trick him into going to places, make him steal, and eventually he was the one who would always get caught. He would be taken to the police station, they would beat him, eventually let him go. It had become a common something and they could not get him out of it. The day before, Sonia's mother was getting ready to go out to work. She worked at people's houses as a housemaid. When suddenly, a friend of Sonia's father's came in and said, "You have to come with me right now. Your husband is back in the jail. I would need you to be there to get him released." She was shocked. She said, "Okay, why not?" And when she went out, he saw that the friend had a car. So she went into the car, and soon she realized, other than taking her to the police station, he took her to a completely different place where she didn't know anyone. It was a room, and she didn't know what to do with it, and she was crying, and she begged, and she said, "I know you, you know me, we know each other, what are you doing to me?" And eventually, after some time, he said that, "I'm sorry, I'm just too drunk, I'm not thinking straight. Why don't you do this? I'll drop you off near your house, This is some money, take it. If someone asks, tell that someone that you went to work, and you know what, you even got a raise. So you have money, and just never ever mention this to anyone. So she came back. When she came back, Sonia's father was standing in the house and he asked, where were you? And she told him the entire story, and the beating began, and he beat her a lot till she was immobile, and then she told him the entire story. And she told me, you have to do something to me. You can never, ever repeat this story in front of me. He's going to kill me if he knows you know this story. I said, calm down. I'm not going to do it. When he comes, I'll come up with something else. Just calm down. After some time, Sonia's father came back. It was around 7 p.m. and the lights outside in the community did not even enter her tiny house properly. When he came in, he was not alone. He was with a friend who was even taller and better built than him, and I could smell in alcohol when they entered. He saw me and said, what are you doing here? And I smiled. I really didn't know what I was doing there. I just knew I had one thing in my mind. And he sat down and I asked him very casually, where were you? And he said, we are changing houses. So I just went to see a house. I said, okay, so what's up? What's going on? I see your wife is very much bruised. She's blue. What happened? And he was just looking at me, and suddenly I saw some cut marks on his hand, and I said, oh my God, have you hurt yourself? I knew what the marks were from. They were from the police station. And he said, there was a bad scooty accident. And I said that, wait, when was it? He said, yesterday. I said, the cut marks look old. They have almost dried up. I have no idea why I was using logic at that place. And he said that, yeah, it was a few days back. At that point, Sonia's mother tried to sit up, and there was some confusion, and they spoke with each other in Assamese, and eventually she lied down again and gave me some time to recognize my thoughts. And I asked him, when was this accident? And he said, a few days back, I was driving the scooty and both of us fell down. And suddenly, before I could stop myself, I told him, wait, if you have fallen down, how come one of you is hurt on the left side, the other is hurt on the right side? And he looked at me and said, how much do you know? I froze. I said, what? I know you had an accident. And he said, very calmly with his chin up, how much do you know? I didn't know how to answer that. I said, the accident. He said, wait. Sonia's mother just told me that she has told you everything. So, how much of it do you really know? Stop lying to me in my house at my face. I didn't really know what to say, so I was sitting there and I said, Bhaiya, I know her side of the story. I want to hear your side of the story. And he suddenly got up and went to the fridge and opened it with such a rush that I thought there was something inside. He took out a big bottle of water. I was prepared that he's going to throw it at me, but he just drank the water and put the bottle back. I was waiting for something, I didn't know what. He came back and he said that, do you know what happened? I came back from work, I went to meet my friends, and my friends told me that my wife got in a car with someone else and went. And they laughed at me, they mocked at me. When I came back and I asked my wife, she lied. She said she got a bonus, and I'm so angry at her. And I said, just stop. You can't take Sonia away for this reason. This thing will get better, but you have to continue her schooling. She calls me Didi, it means sister, it means something to me, at least to me. And she still loves you no matter what. And he said, you don't get it. I'm so angry that I don't want to see her. And he just raised his hand. As a reflex, I held his wrist. And when I held it, I realized my hand didn't even cover his whole wrist. And he held my wrist back, which covered it pretty well. And at that point, I suddenly wished I hadn't done the stupid mistake. And while both of us just stood there looking into each other's eyes, I think my eyes just wished and sought forgiveness. And he let me go. And I told him, just give me a chance. Let Sonia stay back. Things can be worked out. Just calm down. Just don't leave. This family is something. One day she's going to be, do you realize she's doing really great in school? One day she's going to be the bread earner in the family. She's going to turn everything around. For her younger siblings who are in just class 1 and 3, for you, for your wife, things will change. And he said, hopefully, and maybe, all right, maybe I will not take them back to the village. I'll give this another chance. When I left his house, it was around 9 p.m. The sun had set a long time back. The neon lights washed me, and I just stood thinking, I don't know if I did the right thing. What if I did something which would turn the situation completely different? What if Sonia would not be safe in her house that night? Yet, when I was going back to mine, I just hoped that the next day she would be back in the class with her beautiful smile, her grace, her dance, and all her extra classes, rehearsals, studies would begin again. Sonia came back. And even months later, in January 2017, when I saw her parents dropping her off to school, everything seemed normal again. After my fellowship, 4 months later, I suddenly got a phone call which said Sonia was missing. Her father had dropped her to the school main gate and she never entered the school. There was frantic just everywhere. Everyone looked for her, and just after school, Sonia went back home. And then she was asked where she was. She lied, she got beaten up, and she was found outside a mosque. Sonia was Christian. So I knew indirectly Sonia was not alone. And the beatings did not stop. I called Sonia once, she was just crying. I called her again, and her father said things were better and she's asleep. Slowly, I let it go. I thought in her brittle life, everything was perfect again. A week later, I got a phone call which said Sonia was no more. She had given up and she had taken her own life. Why am I sharing this story with you? This is because maybe my Sonia is gone, but there are many Sonias right now around you, just outside IGIDR in this city. Be nice to them, be kind to them, and when you meet them, tell them that you love them, and tell them no matter what, you would never, ever give up on them. Thank you.